the reason why I laugh is because it's pretty much the truth. Is that in the end, I thought 23 years ago I was gonna be working at Pixar by now. No, and the reason why is because I lost interest in all that stuff. It didn't take me long to realize that my life wasn't going to be like that for the rest of my life. I ended up working on things that I never made any money on, and in that I learned some other stuff that I never would have learned. But the thing that's really silly is that the stuff that I learned by myself pretty much. I didn't. Nobody really taught it to me. I got it from the internet. Somebody did teach it to me, but they taught it to me without actually being involved with me and teaching it to me. I learned it because I desired to learn it so that I could do stuff like I did with my current website. My current website is so screwed up. I need help in developing the source code because I can't even manage it anymore, and I'm coming up with errors in it, and I just like don't want to deal with it. It's kind of like it works. Why if it works, why screw with it? Same old conservative mentality. If it's not broken, don't fix it. That commercial software is better in that you're forced to keep working it until it works. But the thing is that the failure of commercial software development is that the people that are working on the source don't have any interest in it. So it's like asking your children to go and do your work for you, and they have zero interest in what you're doing. But if you're going to pay them to do it, they would do it. So if your boss was to pay your children to do what you would normally do, and then you end up training them to do it, that is what it's like to hire people to develop software for you, for the consumers. It's like passing rather than you doing it, you're paying your children to do it, and their children don't have any interest in it, but will do it because they're getting paid to do it. You see, um, and the people who work on games are, some of them are into it, some are really not into it, and for some it's just for the money, for others it's what they're doing. And my feeling of Planet Side 2 is the guys that are working on this game, there's some stuff they can't touch because it's so broken that nobody knows how to fix it. So they're pretty much just doing what they can. And I'm kind of saying to them, there's probably a better solution here. But then again, this, as I was saying earlier, um, it may be the case that everything's broken and will always be broken, and that this is all a test, and that you can't fix it, and you can only do what you can do, and the stuff you can't do, you have to leave up to God. And so you can't go in and fix this company. If there may be the case that all the brokenness of the software that it crashes and all that stuff is a has become, to the company, it may have become the realization that if we didn't have this program crashing all the time, we would have um, severe problems trying to maintain a server, trying to keep the server perfect and keeping everything balanced. It seems that they get some amount of balance by having people going off and getting something to eat after a crash. That way, they don't have to do as much load balancing. So there's probably no incentive for them to actually fix the crashing effect. It may be to them that they've realized that that is a blessing in disguise. Just like I always get killed by this guy. Um, I don't know his fix Nicks or whatever. This guy comes up and always stabs me. I've come to realization that he's always going to do it, and as a VS character, he's always going to do it. And the reason why, I either get upset at him and try to fix him, or I come to the realization that it's going to happen, and in that find some sort of approach to that, and I would call it, it's the what's called in electrical engineering, whenever you're developing a processor, one of the things to doing multitasking is that the clock is going to interrupt you every now and then, and when it interrupts you, you have to check to see what you should be doing right now. The scheduling system is going to determine what you need to be doing right now. And in this game, if somebody kills you, don't blame them. It might be an excuse for you to look at the map and determine if what you're doing now is really that satisfying, and you would rather be over here doing something else. You see, so that's what that it's probably best not to take out your frustration on the world by going in horrible to people in the game because one guy stabs you in the back. Probably the best thing to do there is to look at the map and determine if your services would be best done elsewhere. And so that's I think that's what's going. That's what I'm going to do whenever people kill me. Is I'm going to go, okay, this is a good excuse for me to look at the map and see if there's someplace else I'm better off dealing with doing this thing over here, because I may come to the realization that there's enough going on that the stimulus that I brought to this part of the map, and that's the best that can come out of this game, is the learning effect, the ability to learn strategy, the ability to learn how to apply yourself, and that is the best that comes out of this game. So people play this game for a number of reasons. Some to show the other person, some of it to laugh when they realize they don't have the capacity to really do what they thought they could do. Because in a nutshell, this game is the world we deal with every day, but in the world we get penalized in a much more political and socially, dishonorable way, and it hurts. But in this game, we there's you can't really lose anything in this game, and the people that have such a desire to make you lose something in this game, those people don't get it. They don't get that what they're bringing to the game is the world. They're putting the world into the game, and they're ruining people through the game. Now, whenever I start communicating all this stuff about Christianity and stuff, they think that I'm trying to make everybody Christian. No, what I'm trying to do is tell the Christians what I see that's going wrong, that other Christians, according to the news, are saying, and we really shouldn't be involved with. I'm trying to sharpen them, and in that, somehow I guess I'm evangelizing the non-Christians. The people that aren't Christian yet. Okay, which is the way you should think about it, rather than saying oh, that they're lost. I wouldn't say that. I'd say that they're probably it's like the Twin Olympics. Have you ever seen the Twin Olympics in Monty Python, and all these things they do, like jumping over a bunch of matchboxes? Don't you think that the rest of the world has kind of got that problem, that they can't jump over a row of matchboxes, or it's putting the bra on the dummy thing, or it's shooting each other in the head, or shooting yourself in the head, and they can't quite figure out how to aim the gun, and they end up shooting themselves in the foot, or either shooting the other guy. They can't shoot themselves, and at the end of the Twin Olympics, that all the twits that got through the Olympics, the guys that got the medal, it shows all these coffins with these medals laying on them. I think there are a lot of people that can. The reason why Monty Python is so funny, and the reason why comedy is so funny, is because you identify with it. If you didn't identify with it, it wouldn't be funny. This is the reason why psychopaths can't understand comedy, is because they don't identify with others. They don't identify with that stuff. The only stuff they'll identify with is the stuff that they face, that they see in themselves. And so they will identify with how stupid people are, maybe. But they don't understand comedy. They don't know how to deliver comedy, because a lot of what comedy is empathy, and the desire to solve problems. And psychopaths don't have that because they don't have the capacity to identify with others. And because of that, they don't understand comedy. And when they try to tell a joke, if some people don't laugh, they think it's a problem with them, that they didn't say it the right way, or then they'll externalize it and they'll project it on the person. They'll say, it wasn't my problem that you didn't laugh, it's your problem. You're a strange person. You're not like anybody else. It's you're the reason why you didn't laugh, and I blame you. That's the way the psychopath will feel. They'll get frustrated with you because you don't understand what's funny about the joke. Because they don't understand that you it's not that you don't get, is that the joke isn't funny to you. You see, you actually you an example of this is, I had a guy that was trying to push this joke along to me, and the idea was, imagine a guy has a sex doll, and his parents are coming to his apartment on the weekend. How is he going to get rid of the sex doll? And imagine all the ways that he could get rid of it. And I'd say, pretty easily, I just throw it away or something like that. And the thing he doesn't realize is that people who have sexual people who use sex dolls are not they're like fappers. It's fairly easy to get rid of it. It's not like you're going to be cutting it up and throwing it in. I mean, I would say it. I told him I would just stick it in the wall. I just throw it in the walls. But what if you couldn't do that? And the thing is that he doesn't realize is that my brain can get around that and figure out how he could do it in such a way that it would be embarrassing to him, and his parents would never realize what secret thing he does. And I didn't laugh at his joke. And then he turned around and he said, "You're an evil person. You're really bad." And then every time that guy saw me, and this is an alt space VR, anytime that guy saw me, he knew not to be around me, because he knew that none of his material would work on me. And it came to the realization that guy's a psychopath. He's a psychopath, and the only time he feels good is when he can manipulate the people in his environment. When he has no capacity to manipulate them, he feels vulnerable. And that's how you make a psychopath feel vulnerable, is to cause them to realize that you know what they are, and you know what they're doing, and you know that they're manipulating people. When they realize that, they feel vulnerable. But you say, well, I'm okay with you. I understand what troubles you. It is that having to deal with empathetic people, and you spend much of your time trying to fit in, and you can't do it. And that's what it's like to be a psychopath, is the desire to fit in, and for people to be able to accept you there, but at the same time you're frustrated with dealing with people who are weighed down by emotion. And I mean, if you can imagine your mom or somebody that is so weighed down emotion, they can't like go out and enjoy a vacation, because they're so caught up in the emotion of some friends that they lost while they're on vacation. You can't understand why they just can't let it go and enjoy the vacation. That's, I think, something that that a psychopath would feel if they had, say, a wife, and the wife was weighed down by emotion. It would seem so illogical to them to let the emotion just take over everything. and ruin the capacity to go out and do something fun. Okay, because I'm sure psychopaths have fun, um, going out and doing, going and watching a game and seeing something. They could get a lot of fun out of you know this team or that team, and seeing who comes out of this alive and stuff, and saying foul to the other team and all that. Um, but if somebody's weighed down by emotion, it's like, wow, just a lot of waste of time. Why should I be here feeling this way? I mean, is it any different from any other day that somebody died and they couldn't really deal with it? Why? What's the point of feeling remorse? I mean, I don't see the point in it. See, the thing is, they don't have the emotion. They don't feel the social burden. Also, I mean, it's either an emotional burden or it's a social burden. It's like, um, I got to recognize this because my friend recognizes this friend of theirs, and I want to make them feel satisfied with me by reciprocating their need, to pay tribute to this friend of theirs. Um, the psychopath is not going to be there. He's going to be like, oh yeah. Can I take a rain check? It's a part of your. It's a part of your body. It's part of your being that says, I really don't care. You know. But if you said you really didn't care to somebody that you love, who cares about somebody, you have to submit to their need to set. And I it whenever I talk about psychopath, it's not that I know psychopath, it's that I long to know psychopath. I long to know those people I have no capacity to understand. And I think to some degree that's what attracts women to certain men who are like so ruined, is that they're longing to try to understand how they can bestow their gift of empathy on somebody who doesn't have the capacity to reciprocate that need, that capacity. What they're trying to do is they're trying to bring something to that person and hoping that it'll help them, and it may not help them at all. And there are people in the medical profession and nursing and stuff, like say with COVID. There were a lot of people during COVID. At least one case I heard of a nurse that had committed suicide, when dealing with COVID patients, because she could not get any satisfaction knowing that her being there was actually improving them, because a lot of them were dying, and she couldn't handle that because before she got so much satisfaction from people being able to survive, and her involvement was what helped them to survive. Not getting that feedback because the input was not from her, that that it was all in the body, and those people were comatose. They weren't really there. Caused her to commit suicide, and now you can understand why what drives nurses to be nurses is the feedback and the interaction of what they do and how it affects other people's lives. And in such situations, when nurses are dealing with COVID and are put under such pressure, this is not where you want nurses to be. What you want to do is you want to find psychopaths who can do the sort of things nurses do and put them in that position, because psychopaths do not feel the emotional burden that nurses do whenever the patients don't reciprocate their treatment of them. Psychopath's just going to do what's procedure, and is going to say, okay, I have to do this now. This is what's happening. I need to do this now. This is what happened. I need to do this now. Oh, they died. Oh, okay, next. And it's like a similar line type thing. They don't. The emotional burden is not there because they're not contemplating everything that has been lost, because they don't identify with the cadaver. See? And so there is a benefit to having psychopaths in the world. Now, when I say psychopaths, the rest of the world thinks serial killers. The thing they don't understand is that um, if you're a psychopath and you have the incapacity to express emotion, or to even reciprocate emotion, or to even identify with other people, then if you're a child of parents who are empaths and you're a psychopath, your parents are going to start abusing you because they're going to wonder what is wrong with you. They're going to slap you on the hand. They're going to send you to your room because you set the cat on fire. And the thing is that those parents don't understand what psychopaths are, and they want a normal child, but they're not going to get it. They're not going to get an empathetic child because the psychopathic child doesn't have the emotions. They don't have the concern. It isn't there. The psychopathic child is looking for entertaining things in the world, and part of that entertainment is seeing the animated effect, the animated effect, the kind of the gleeful spectacle that comes from setting the cat on fire or tying the cat to another cat by the tail or throwing them over a line. And they're always just kind of like playing with the physics of the world around them. They don't see the emotion, they see the physics, they see the effects of the behaviors, and are they're they're trying to understand these behaviors and why, but not really trying to understand. They get a certain glee out of the behaviors as a result, or seeing kind of just how stupid things are, and they don't. If you need to discipline them, the way that you discipline them is not by torturing them with what they don't, because they're going to not understand what it is they're being tortured for if you torture them. The thing to do is to let them realize why what they did was wrong, and to help them to understand that this is not good, and why it's in the logic of why you don't do things like this. Um, you have to give it clear cut, and you have to do it in a very non-empathetic way. You have to put it out on a blackboard and help them realize the cause and effect, because their brain is not drawing the relationship. It doesn't understand cause and effect. There are also children who have had damage to the prefrontal cortex, that they're not psychopaths, but they don't have the capacity to understand cause and effect. Um, I went when I worked at my grocery store. I had one such individual who was like this, claimed to be a Christian, but couldn't understand why you need to feel, why you need to be responsible for homeless people. And I told her that if you don't if you aren't responsible for the homeless people, you're irresponsible. See, and that she had empathy and she understand the need for love and stuff, but she didn't understand cause and effect. And the only thing I can imagine is that there's something wrong with the prefrontal cortex, that the part of the brain that deals with cause and effect, uh, she had a sociopathic tendency that I don't know. I think the thing is that whenever I went, and this is the really bizarre thing, is that I am kind of a socialist, and I have a tendency to go around and treat people to stuff. And so when I was going around the grocery store and giving people like $15 gift certificates at Christmas, and she would always ask me, and says, "So was this especially for me?" And I say, "No, I gave you the same as I gave this other person." And then she goes, "Oh," and she feels really bad because she thought that I was giving her a special attention. See, it is really and it with dealing with her, me was kind of coming to this realization that she couldn't understand why somebody would be the way I am. And for her, it was a constant conundrum. And for me, it was a constant conundrum to wonder how in the world she couldn't see, be a Christian and couldn't like be trying to trying to give everybody the capacity of feeling good. You know, she had this kind of self-centeredness that was inbred into her being, that she needed to feel special, and unique. You know, and I was not offering her that special, unique, loving relationship that she desired. And I'm sure you probably have been in loving relationships with people where it's like they feel like you should be giving them more love than other people. And that's kind of what she was doing, and I was just like, how can you be Christian and not be that way? You know? And for her it was kind of like being part of clique. Look, I've got the God bracelet. I've got this. Look, I'm a Christian. A real, in my mind, a real Christian is somebody who doesn't look at themselves as being Christian. It's somebody who expresses being Christian through what they do. It's not what they look. It's kind of like wearing glasses doesn't make you smart, but there are people who wear glasses just to make you think that they're smart. Psychopaths will do that. From what I've read, is the psychopaths spend a lot of their time trying to look like the people that everybody values, and so they're working so hard to be pristine and perfect in view of everyone, so that people will give them special treatment. And when people don't give them the special treatment, then they think there's something wrong with those people. Just like when the guy was telling me a joke and I wouldn't give him the right response, he knew there was something wrong with me, so he would turn everybody else against me. And when we play this game, who is like that? Guys like Tindrell Pulver, Friendly, and C, they're going to figure out some way to turn everybody against you, is because you don't identify with them as being good. That's the reason why they pick names like Friendly and C. You is that he's trying to project the idea that he's a friendly person when he really is not. Friendly is he's got trust issues, serious trust issues. He's becoming a police officer, I think, because he thinks somehow he can fix the world, and he's going to come to the realization that he might end up hurting a lot of people. And I don't know if he's a psychopath, or if he just doesn't have the capacity to understand cause and effect, or if he just doesn't understand that people don't have the trust issues he has, because he has serious trust issues. And they say don't judge people, but it also says if a man has bad fruits, the man is bad. If I have bad fruits, where are my bad fruits? You know, and to some degree, I think that if you're concerned about your fruits and you really look to see what your fruits are, you'll figure out a way to improve yourself. But if you're somebody who consistently produces bad fruits and never improves, that's somebody who's like a psychopath. They're never going to improve. They're never going to become a better empathetic person, because they just don't have the capacity to really desire to be a good empathetic person. Their desire is to satisfy themselves. And to some degree, you have to tell the world, even the people who think you're going to hell, that to go out and do what makes them happy. And for a psychopath, what makes them happy might be to manipulate people, but then you have to add in a little clause and not destroy other people. And then you go, oh man, then that was so much fun to see people so animated. So for them, it might be to go out and walk their dog, And if, psychopaths will get an enjoyment from. I've read this, is that when they actually learn to, when a dog gives them unconditional love, the love they can't get from empathetic people all the time, and that is just wanting to go and walk all the time, which is a psychopath who probably would find a lot of joy in going out and walking, and to have a dog that's always wanted to go out and walking. It's like, hey, this guy knows what I like to do. We're going to go out and do it, and gets satisfaction out of it. That and that would be something that. And so maybe whenever you're treating somebody, if you're a psychologist and you're treating a psychopath, try to identify what it is that the psychopath likes to do that isn't going to hurt anyone, and give them as a list of things to do whenever they're depressed about something. And I mean, they experience depression, but it's more of dissatisfaction with the world, that the world is not giving them the things they want. They're not getting the success they need, and to find the things that are going to give them the satisfaction that they desire, which is antidepressant. So, but it isn't emotional depression. It's satisfaction depression. Okay, so when I feel the need to empathize with psychopaths, this is what I'm pushing for, is to try to solve the problems that the world has with them, and how to fit in with the world without reciprocating the emotional stuff that they can't even understand, So